Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond the Evidence. This is the channel where justice matters. My name is Mark. I am a true crime fanatic, and I love to dig deeper into the mysteries of unsolved cases. Join me as we search for missing persons, uncover the clues in unsolved murders, follow along with jury trials, and we'll be a voice for the voiceless. I'll share with you the facts, the theories, the clues, the evidence, and the controversies that surround these cases. This is Beyond the Evidence. Hello, everyone. How are you? Good evening. Let me get Andrea on here. There she is.
I'm here.
Good evening, Andrea.
Hello.
Good evening, Jill, and everyone else that's in the audience watching tonight. Tonight is Q&A for Tabitha. I think Mark is going to join us a little bit. We'll see. But if not, we'll just talk through some case points, Andrea. That's how we get some questions.
Okay.
So, how have you been today?
I'm here.
Hello, Rescue All the Dogs. How are you? Okay, so for tonight's Q&A, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat. If you do not want to identify yourself and you have not changed your YouTube name, you can go on to the Tabitha Shuck Raines Facebook group and post anonymously your question in the group. I just have to take a second and bring that up on my other screen so that I can see everything.
Rescue says she got her Tabi pins today.
You did finally? I was going to say I'm going to just remail them because it's driving me crazy. Andrea, I sent those pins out. Let's see, I got back on a Sunday from Indiana. I sent them out by that Wednesday.
Oh, wow, that's been a lot.
It took that long for them to get to Rescue All the Dogs. That is
gotten back on
crazy. But
you got back on the 13th.
Huh?
You got back on the 13th.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. It took that long.
Hey.
Well, good. Hopefully Deb got hers too. I'm glad you got them. I was going to
say 3 weeks.
I know.
Wow.
So awesome. So if you're wondering what we're talking about, I'm looking for mine here.
She said I sound like I'm underground.
You do?
It's what she said. Rescue said Andrea sounds like she's underground.
Oh, wow. So if you're wondering, these are the pins. We are selling them, one for $13 or two for $21. And you can email me or get a hold of me on Facebook and let me know if you would like one. Oh, it might be your television, she said.
No, I don't. My television's not on.
No, it might be her television.
Oh, her.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
One.
So if anybody in the chat or is watching and wants to put a question in the Tabitha Facebook group anonymously, go ahead. As soon as I start seeing them come in, we'll start answering some questions. Until then, Andrea, what do you think we can definitely say about Tabitha's case that is inaccurate about the documents?
A lot of dates are wrong. A lot of he said, she said.
Yes, a lot of
inconsistencies all over the place.
Yes. And I will go out there and say this. I do not believe that this happened at the park. I believe she was put in the creek.
I agree.
She was brought to the creek after passing away.
Yep, I agree.
There's no way that you're not going to find any kind of evidence there. Shell casings, blood, body fluids. You would find something if it happened at the park.
Well, yeah, especially with as much blood that was lost.
Right. Okay.
Everybody knows a head injury bleeds more than any other injury, so.
Mm-hmm. And we know there was other injuries other than that.
Right, but not enough that would have made that amount of blood.
No, but it would have left some.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It would have been some. Another misconception that I think is made in a lot of these statements is that they make Tabitha sound like she slept around. Okay.
Yep.
She absolutely did not sleep around. She may have been intimate with one other individual, which I believe she was. We know that they spent a lot of time together. We know that Michael was cheating on her.
With several women.
Yeah. So their marriage was rocky, to say the least. Absolutely. At the end, Tabitha had one priority. Can anybody tell me what that number one priority for Tabitha was? Andrea?
Drake.
Exactly. So you can't tell me that she was going out getting all coked up and drugged up all the time because her priority was her son. Exactly, Jill. Number one priority was taking care of her son. And we know that Tabitha did not want any rugs around the house, the apartment that they lived in, and around Drake. How much older was Michael than Tabitha?
8 or 9 years, I think.
8 or 9?
I thought. Hang on, I just dropped it. Maybe no.
I want to say 2 or 3. 16, 17, 18. I think 3. I think he was 19.
Was he?
And she had just turned 16. I think. I don't know. I get all the numbers
Right.
mixed up in my head.
I'm looking.
He was old enough to get married without parents' permission, so he was at least 16. But I think he was 19 at the time.
I'm looking.
Sorry about that. My allergies are going crazy with all this rain. Yes, Rescue Drake was absolutely... Your dad has to fix that door. Don't look at me like that. It's a cat.
I was beginning to wonder who the hell you were talking to.
Well, he put a guard thing on underneath the door so it's more soundproof. And so the door, he's got to fix the latch on the door to get it to close tight. So she can just push on it and open it up. She drives me crazy. And she knows I'm in here because she'll come sleep in the chair when I'm in here.
Or try to crawl around on your computer.
Not too much anymore. So yeah, we know that Drake was Tabitha's #1 priority. She took her job as a mother seriously.
Okay, he was 19.
19. See,
he was 19 when she was murdered.
And she was 16.
Yeah.
So 3 years older than her. And you know, as a young mom, she would have been a bit paranoid, you know, with the drug use, making sure that that was all kept away, far away from Drake, because she wouldn't want Drake to get taken away.
No.
Hello, Mark.
Good evening.
How are you?
Running late, feeding my face.
Oh, it's all right. I'm glad you could join us tonight.
Most certainly good to be here. Thank you all for all you do.
You're welcome. So we were talking about, Mark, we were talking about the fact that, you know, Tabi, everybody makes it sound like Tabi was out running around having all these affairs, and that was absolutely not the case. You know, she may have,
Right.
with one individual that's involved in the case, they seem pretty close, but we also said that Michael was having numerous affairs also, and she probably just needed some attention and some love. And that Drake was her #1 priority, and there is no way that she would have allowed drugs near Drake because she would have been afraid of losing him.
Well, Tabi was wanting Michael to get away from all the drug running and everything he was doing.
Right.
And he wouldn't listen to her. So he virtually walked away, living with a girlfriend down there in Indianapolis. His mom told him to get his butt back home. They'll take care of it a different way.
Yeah. So what do you
But
think
all this stuff about Tabi being promiscuous, whatever you want to call it, should be irrelevant in the situation at hand. There's a whole lot that the prosecution and state detective didn't do with this case that they could have done, and it would went to court a totally different way than it did.
right?
We got proven fact of it.
Well, Andrea and I both agree this did not happen at the park. The park is just
No.
the place that she was put because there's absolutely no evidence.
Right.
I firmly believe that this happened at Kyle Neff's house.
Very much so as well. But
And that's because we have evidence about people seeing blood and bloody clothing there afterwards. Now, Mark, explain to us how long after Tabi's death did Kyle Neff's house get searched?
I don't think they searched it until after Andrew Bush came forward.
Okay. And that's what I couldn't remember. Andrea, do you remember what the deposition itself said?
The deposition, I think, said it was either the 3rd or the 6th of October.
The Kyle's house got searched?
Yep. I'll go back and look real quick.
Of 2002.
Yeah, let me look.
Okay.
May not have been a very big search, but I think it was a minimal one at least.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, I have a question when it comes to Tabi's case. This is jumping ahead a little bit, but now Kyle Neff said that he put the clothing in a tub that was in the shed, and we know that his mother threw that stuff out without looking at it and went in the dump.
Right.
When you and Buffy looked into the dump, what did they say about how they could find that, where that went?
They recently shut the dump down shortly before we found out all that. And Buffy called up there and they said they know where it would be at and how deep.
And that's because they keep records on where every truck came from, the truck number, and exactly in the dump where they put it,
Right.
including how deep it is, correct? Oh, did we lose them? Oh, you're breaking up. There you go.
With that information, Jay Rich said the county will be willing to pay out that fee to search for something that they don't know for sure is even there. What kind of investigation work is that?
Yeah.
Therefore, the state detective should have stepped up and said, yes, this place needs searched. If there's evidence there to be had, yes, we're going to get it. Even with a company, an excavation company, donating their equipment and time to take their equipment up there and do the digging, if the landfill didn't have any equipment up there to use.
Right.
Or if the state didn't have any equipment to take up there, whichever, you know.
Everyone, right?
But no, it wasn't important. It wasn't important.
Yeah. They didn't want to spend the money to do it.
Yeah.
Yet that's where we're told the evidence is in one of those bins.
Yeah. If they're telling the truth.
Right. I'm just refreshing the Facebook group page to make sure that I do not miss any questions from there. Nope, not yet. Okay. So where Cheryl's restaurant was and the house, what is there now?
It's a roundabout. It's 30. Highway 31 is virtually being turned into interstate. And there's a big roundabout there, and it's just raw. Well, the roundabout is on the east side of the road, is virtually sitting on top of where the house was.
Okay. Do you know approximately when they tore that all down?
I can't remember what year that was. Andrea would know for sure.
Okay, we'll look into getting that.
I was out of state when they did that.
Lollipop, in Kyle Neff's deposition, he said that Elizabeth had given him Tabitha's clothes, and he was supposed to take his clothes and her clothes and get rid of them. And he said he put them in a tote in the shed. And we know that his mother, Cheryl, said that she got rid of a bunch of the totes in the shed without looking at inside.
Just threw them in the trash dumpster without looking in them, see what's in them. Just casually throwing them in the dumpster.
So that is what we meant about bloody clothes.
With Jay Rich's close friendship to that family, we shouldn't even be having this talk.
No, I
He should have
agree.
recused himself from the beginning. He should have recused himself from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. Agree 100%. Lollipop, she was partially clothed. She had a shirt on. She did not have any.
Yeah, she had a hoodie, a Rhino brand hoodie sweat jacket on, and somebody close to this wore Rhino brand clothing all the time. So it was reported.
Yeah, so allegedly the hoodie that she was wearing wasn't even hers.
No, she didn't have anything like that. Of course, nobody explains where that came from. It didn't matter. Didn't matter to the prosecution. We were given the cold shoulder, and they wouldn't listen to things that we wanted them to investigate.
So
They wait 2 months to go to the apartment, or it's insane.
Right.
Insane.
You should have the apartment. My thought is her apartment and the mother-in-law's apartment should have been one of the first two places searched.
Exactly. The very first places.
Because that would have been the last two places she would have been seen.
Yeah.
And we know that Michael and Tabitha's apartment didn't get searched for at least 2 months.
December 17th, 2002 is when they did that search.
Right. That makes me go, about whoever wears that brand. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We have an idea of who that individual is.
I have more than an idea. I know who it is, but I said information on the live.
Hang on, I gotta make sure I'm typing this in right. So, rescue all the dogs. Her hashtag is justice for Tabitha.
The word for, not the number 4.
Yep.
Correct.
Got it in there. The word for.
FOR, not FORE.
Yeah.
Or is it F? Yeah, FOR, not FORE.
Right. So, Mark, I don't know if you're going to know this because I know you were working a lot, but from your discussions with Buffy, what was it like the week before, even 2 weeks before this happened? What was Tabitha doing at that time?
Trying to raise her son without Michael's support, wanting Michael to get away from the drugs and the people he was hanging around with, and the gang that he had.
Okay. So was she by herself most of the time?
Friends,
or with friends? Okay.
whether it be running around with Jamie or Stacy, or there's a few others.
And she wasn't working at that time, correct?
No, she was just going to GD class.
Okay. Do you know, and if not, I can ask Buffy this question, but do you know when the last time she worked was?
You'd have to take that up with Buffy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to get Buffy on here one night and talk to her.
Yeah, I can't think.
Well, and like I said, I know you were out of town working a lot at that time, so.
Right.
So what are your thoughts, Mark, on Andrew Bush and his whole testimony?
So he was coached
You feel that he was coached?
strongly.
Say?
He couldn't keep his story straight.
I agree with that.
He had to be reminded from other lawyers what he told other lawyers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We saw that in his depositions.
Yeah, it's insane. What I can't understand the thinking on that. If you're doing a deposition, wanting information from somebody, and you're sitting there reminding them, what kind of justice is that?
Right.
It's so crooked. It's so backwards. About cuss there.
Well, and another thing I noticed reading these depositions to the audience, it's different when you're reading them to yourself versus out loud. It really is, because you catch a lot more things when you're reading them out loud to somebody. But
Right.
another thing that I noticed in these depositions is they frequently turn the recorder off, had conversations or whatever outside of the recording, and came back up.
Yeah. Yeah, they did that quite a bit.
Hi, Miranda. Lollipop, yes, this is her stepdad talking. This is Mark. He is the voice for Tabitha.
If I click on the chat button, will it knock me out?
No, you should be able to just see the chat then.
I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
I am looking at the comment.
So it's my impression that it seems like Andrew Bush may not have even been there that night.
I put some hot coffee in.
Thank you.
Your mama, it's not for you.
What are your thoughts on that, Andrea or Mark? That
What was the question?
well, we're saying that we think that this did not happen at the park, but it happened. Like I said, I believe it happened at Kyle's house. And from everything that I'm reading, and from individuals that I talked to, Andrew Bush wasn't even there that night when this happened.
He might have been at the park, but he wasn't at Kyle Neff's.
Right. So that is another reason why we believe that the story was given to Andrew Bush and not that he actually saw anything. Is that a fair statement, Mark?
He was going to go down hard for Shane Jackson's death, him and his dad. And because of the way this county is, they found a way to get around it to where they can get someone pinned on Tabitha's murder without it affecting any of the elites in the county.
Right.
Is what we see. Why would they give immunity to a 17-year-old kid, known town pill pusher, known town 17-year-old drunk, out partying all over the county,
who took huge amounts of alcohol and drugs
and narcotics?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and he can't keep his story straight, and they still want to run to court with it.
Right.
Let alone they knew Elizabeth had an alibi, a strong alibi at that. With the time frames don't match up at all.
Right. Well, now I've heard that Elizabeth was at Kyle's house that night and was part of it, and then I've heard she wasn't. So, you know how that goes.
Well, as well as people out there working for the good side, there's still a lot of people out there working on the bad side. And that's why I've always made sure I do my research throughout the years on people. Beat the bush. If I have to call people in the county, say, what do you know about this person? What do you know about that person? And I usually get what I'm looking for.
Right.
I can decipher if they're telling me some truths or half truths. But when the justice system is working against you, it makes you just like the way Buffy ended up feeling. We've lost all hope in the justice system of Tipton County.
Right.
But thanks be to God, there's a new sheriff in Tipton, and I firmly believe he's a good one. And if this case can be brought right, things will get done with it. I've known that sheriff that's there now. I've known him for quite some time. And he gave me some pretty serious information back in 2002.
Well,
Which I won't divulge on here.
Right.
Yeah, when you find out that one of Michael Raines's right-hand men is with him wherever you've seen Michael, you've seen this kid with him. And he's also close friends with the prosecutor's brother or brother-in-law. I mean,
Right.
there's something fishy with that, let alone all these other kids that I've done research on, and they've got older family members who have been in and out of trouble all their lives, and makes you wonder, how big is this ring? We know there's a drug ring in Tipton County. How big is it? How many counties does it stretch? Does it stretch clear up to Chicago?
Or Indianapolis?
Right.
And that was going to be my next question is, okay,
there's a lot of dealings coming up out of Indianapolis with this situation.
Yeah. So with this drug ring going through Tipton, being headed up by individuals in Tipton, who do you think they were working for?
I can't go naming names, but
no, but I mean
anybody in Tipton, most people who pay attention, or you know what I'm saying, pay attention to what's going on around us, knows. And those that don't know, they're so engulfed in, it's an awesome thing. They're so engulfed with their kids and sports and everything, and or band or whatever, it's they stay to their own family, and that's great. But there's people like me and you and multiple other people that wants to get involved, who try to make it right, get justice served properly. Why they sit in the background, taking care of their family, taking care of their kids, make sure the kids get a good education, stay active in sports, stay away from the stupid stuff.
Right. Well, and we know
But
this.
If with them not knowing what's going on, how are they going to, if something should arise, God forbid, what are they going to do? It's
Right.
people like us that can do our due diligence and try to stop this at the head.
Right.
It's plain and simple and black and white in all those documents that this case was grossly mishandled by the prosecutor and state detective. There's numerous things that I can talk about, but not on live.
Right. There's some things that we have to keep close to the vest, even though we're divulging
That's
a
right.
lot of information when it comes. There are certain little things that we can't divulge at this time.
Correct.
Hi, Pam. How are you? Now, I will say that I have been able to talk to one of the attorneys. Mark does this. I'm also, when I was in Indiana, I was trying to get documents. And boy, Mark, did I get the runaround on that one.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me.
So I've learned my lesson, and the next time I come to Indiana, I will be going to that clerk of court to get the information that I want.
Right.
Vince says snitches get stitches. Could they have been threatened with this to keep them from talking? Absolutely. So
multiple people were threatened.
Mm-hmm.
Even our own families.
You have the families, you have loved ones that were close to Tabitha, friends, everything that were threatened in this.
Yeah.
Corn
cobs come flying out of the cornfield, hitting your house. Phone ringing off the hook in the middle of the night. All kinds of stupid stuff like that.
So you can understand why
vehicles stalking you.
Yeah. you can understand why people don't want to talk and give information. But at the same time, you're never going to take the town back or get the changes that you need to take place if you don't talk. So, with that being said, we are putting together a binder for Tabitha. If anyone has any information on what was happening in Tabitha's life within the month before this happened or after, has any theories, heard any rumors, has any information whatsoever, we would like you to contact me. You can do it by creating a fictitious Gmail email address that doesn't have your name or anything in it, and you can email me that information at beyondtheevidence1@gmail.com. If you don't have an issue giving your name or anything like that, you can certainly contact me and let me know. That is horrifying, knowing that the family members and friends of hers were getting threatened afterwards.
Yes.
And I will say that, Mark, I do believe that this had to do more with drugs than anything else.
We know it did.
Yeah.
We know it did. We had a black SUV. I came home one Friday night. I was feeling sick the next morning. Decided to take Buffy's car to go to my boss's business to pay my materials and get paid for the week or whatever. And we had a black SUV follow us out of Tipton and clear over to Hobbs, as we was heading for Elwood.
Right.
We turned into Hobbs. Buffy had a suspicion it might be following us because it followed us all the way through Tipton. A long story in itself. So the SUV follows us as we turn onto a country road, and Buffy hits the brake, and you can see the smoke rolling out from underneath. It was back behind us, probably 3/4 of a mile, but you can see the smoke just rolling off the tires as it was burning rubber to get turned around to go back the way it came.
Right.
We chased that SUV clear over on the east side of Elwood and couldn't catch up to it.
Wow.
Couldn't get close enough to it to get a plate number off of it or anything. We let Tara use one of our trucks up at Tri-Central. We took the kids out of Tipton. They finished up at Tri-Central, except Tara. We took her out of school because every day for like 4 days in a row, the gas cap would be standing open. Gas door would be standing open, and the gas cap would be in the bed of the truck, virtually telling us we know where she's at all times.
Yeah.
So needless to say, we took her out of school, and she got her GED.
Right. Andrea, do you have any questions?
No. I did find out that they issued a search warrant for Liz's shoes and cell phone and all that on 10/6 of 02.
Right.
6 days after. Okay, for Liz.
So Kyle would have been right there in that same area.
Yeah, I'd have to do some digging, but I could almost swear they didn't do the full search of that place until after Andrew Bush came forward. I think they just went in and looked around.
Or maybe that's when they asked for specific things.
Well, in one document that I read, and I'm trying to find it, but I'm I'm flying through them and I can't really sit and read it. But in one of them, I specifically remember them saying that they took out a pair of jeans, they took out Kyle's shoes, because he had to look for one because one was in one place and one was in a clothes basket or something.
Yeah.
2016 is when they did the roundabout.
Okay. I'm making note of that.
Yeah, at the same time we demanded they search Tabi and Michael's apartment. We was also demanding they do a thorough search on Kyle's place as well, and they was ignoring us. Virtually ignoring us in a roundabout way.
I agree. Miracle Heart too. She says like they were just going through the motions with the searches they did do. Should have been using luminol and things like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hello. How come Kyle wasn't charged for being with a minor? And could they charge him now since he admitted to being with her? No, they could not charge him now because there is a statute of limitations on that.
Yep.
Mark, was Tabi emancipated?
Yes.
That's why they couldn't charge her for being with a minor.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Kyle's admitting to being with her before she was emancipated.
Oh, okay. As far as how come Kyle wasn't charged for this, that is a very good question.
Kyle's claiming that he's Drake's dad.
Yes, there was question of that. Was there ever a paternity test done?
No. It was denied by the prosecution or the detectives. They wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Can I ask why you guys never did it on your own? Because you don't have to have a court order to do it.
Fair for our lives as well as Drake's life. It's the truth. We were scared shitless. We didn't know what to do.
And you would have had to have Kyle's cooperation.
Correct. The bad side was making it well known that we need to leave it alone. Let justice take its course, which was crooked justice.
Right. There's some things here that I'm not sure about yet in this case. And here's what I'm not sure about. Was Michael part of this in having Tabi unalived? Or was this a message sent to Michael by having Tabi unalived? Because of the drugs that were being done and sold. Go ahead, Mark.
He knew what was going on. We've got his school records. He's saying he was in school the full time that he was supposed to be there. We've got his school records. No, he wasn't.
And we have statements stating that he was in the park at that time or earlier
Yep.
in the night?
Yep.
That people saw him around town that evening?
He couldn't keep his story straight either.
Right.
And he's claiming that one of the policemen came and chased him down as he darted out of the courtroom when they pulled the rings out of the envelope and picture of the tattoo. He got up and darted out of the courthouse and the city courtroom and went across the highway right there and headed towards his house. And it wasn't the case. But we know who chased him down and brought him back to the courtroom. We were right there. We seen what was going on.
Right.
But in Michael Raines' deposition, I can't remember what officer supposedly chased him down, brought him back. That wasn't the case. That was a dead giveaway from the beginning that I seen.
As far as
As
inconsistency.
far as Michael telling the truth about anything.
Right. And we do know that out of the 3 individuals that had the polygraph done, even though they're not admissible in court, 2 individuals failed and 1 passed.
Right.
Let's see here. Crooked indeed. It could have been matched or not to her husband. While there are things that I've been told that this took place, that Tabi was beat up in her mother-in-law's apartment and forcibly removed and taken to a different location. And that is where this happened. There's a lot of things that we have been told it's like a puzzle piece that you gotta put together. And that's part of the reason why we're going to put this binder together. Is to do an official timeline and, consistencies and everything. So that we can try to get this case reopened. Because it absolutely did not happen the way that they're saying it happened.
With the information Marv's sharing right now, we have people ready to go to court to testify to what she's saying. We're not saying this out of the blue.
Right.
Information for anybody who thinks different.
Right. So like I said, it's like a puzzle. We just need some of those other puzzle pieces. And that is why we're asking anyone that knew Tabitha beforehand or the situation afterhand, any rumors, any theories, anything at all, come to us with that.
Well, one of the major puzzle pieces is they arrested 3 people and there's 3 different types of DNA underneath their fingernails that didn't match any of those 3. But they didn't bother to check anybody else's DNA to see if it matches theirs.
Right.
And we demand, that's more of our demands that we, do this case right. They wouldn't listen to us.
And because
they had their own agenda.
Yeah. And because they closed it, they have not taken that DNA and ran it through the programs to see if it matches anyone.
No. Case is sitting dormant.
So I'd like to see somebody from law enforcement step up and
well, certainly
that was found under her fingernails and run it through the system. Run it through their programs to see who it hits on.
Right.
That would actually be my first request in all of this. Because
Yep.
so much has happened with DNA. Since then. I hope so, Jody. It's been a long time.
Amen.
Yeah. Let's see. I know what I was going to ask you. Can you expand on the fact that, and this is from your experience and being there at that time, working with Gary Stout, how that was, what you think he was doing, and why a lot of his notes and stuff weren't followed?
Gary Stout and Buffy worked very close with each other. She was over there almost every day. If she wasn't over there every day, she was on the phone with him. And he was doing his due diligence to get to the truth. When he got sick with cancer, he knew that he was dying. And he couldn't, we feel he was being held back. We feel that he was being held back from going with the truth. Seeking the truth.
Yeah. I wish there was a way, if they still existed, that we could get his notes from the case to see his perspective of what he was thinking at the time.
Yeah.
Here's something that I just noticed going through these papers.
Okay.
So all three of them were arrested at the end of October, basically.
They were arrested in March.
Well,
of 03.
okay, well, in the document that I just read, it said something about they did the vacuum filter and all this stuff in November on Liz's car. So why, if they did the vacuum filter test and did all her car in November of 02, why did they wait to send in the mouth swabs until March of 03?
Exactly.
Good question.
It's multiple questions we tried to get answered throughout the years. We couldn't get them answered.
Right. And if Andrew was the big witness, when did they contact Andrea?
He
March.
was, hang on, I got him up right here. Hang on, let me go look.
Because you got to remember, this happened in October.
Well, before he came forward with the information, he was living with his dad in Tipton, and he was, giving information about Shane Jackson's drug death and information about what else was he saying? Oh, that letter that was found in his mailbox or something.
Right.
Or the letter that Elizabeth Balser was found blaming Andrew Bush.
And Chris Baker, yes.
Yeah.
So we know that rumors were going around town right away about Liz. And I think that's why they honed in on her so quickly.
Yeah, she had a very bad rep, let alone a lot of the girls that was coming forward with information about her. We find that they're real close friends, if not girlfriends, to the people that we implicated from the very beginning.
Right.
I'm sitting in the backyard of a friend's house, and that's what the sound of the katydids is.
Oh, okay.
Jody come out. She says, "You might want to get out of the backyard because all you can hear is the katydids."
That's all right. So now when you were in contact with Gary Stout, Buffy would go to his office, correct?
Yes.
And you talked about boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes.
Yeah, he had a stack probably 3 foot tall, and it stretched for probably about 15, 16 feet.
Okay.
And when Jay Rich got the case, he only had a stack 3 foot tall by 4 foot, 5 foot, stacked up against his wall in his office.
Yeah.
And we confronted him. Says, we was talking about different stuff, and he says, "Well, I don't have that information." I said, "What's this over here? Is that Tabitha's case sitting right there?" He says, "Yeah." And I said, "Where's the rest of it?" And Buffy says, "Yeah, where's the rest of it? Gary Stout had a whole wall full." She said, "That's it. That's all of it right there." I said, "No way. That's not right. You need to get a hold of the city police department and find out where the rest of it's at." And of course, nothing ever happened with that. Just like everything else. Didn't matter what we said or wanted to do.
Did you guys ever try the county sheriff's department? Because didn't he move to the county?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we tried everything. We tried everything. I went and sat down with an FBI agent down at the FBI office, and they went to Tipton County, checked the paperwork, and replied back, they feel that they got their ducks in a row and everything was kosher with them. So 5 or 6 months later, I sat down with another FBI agent, and I submitted our information to him, and he said he'd be back in touch with me, and I've never heard from him since. We've sat down with U.S. Marshals at a parents of murdered children conference, and U.S. Marshals have never got back with us either. We tried Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, we tried everything. We couldn't get nothing done.
Andrew Bush's first statement was in March.
Yeah.
2023.
03.
Or yeah, 2003. Sorry. So that's 6 months after. And that would be plenty of time to coach him on what to say.
Exactly.
Vid Inquires says FBI question mark. So yes, Mark has talked to some FBI agents. And unfortunately, they never return or get a hold of them. There's been a long line of individuals that Mark and Buffy have contacted, and nothing ever gets done.
It's like Tipton County's untouchable. which makes us feel that we're right in what we're doing. We're trying to expose a major drug ring.
Right.
And if they're that untouchable, how much money is this ring? You know, I'm not saying it's doing it right now. How much revenue was this ring supplying to all these officers and whoever else might be involved in this crap?
Right. And that would explain why this has never been solved in all these years. They don't want it to be solved. They want to hide it.
Yep. Because we feel if the actual killers of Tabitha go down for this, it's going to trickle down to the elite of the county that's part of this.
And maybe even more than just,
Exactly.
like I said, there's always layers of those rings. Somebody's at the top, somebody's at the bottom,
Right.
and you always have the in between. Yeah, Miracle Hearts, it's unbelievable. But you have a 16-year-old who was a mother. Her number one priority was always Drake. And
Yes.
we still don't have any answers as to what happened. We have a lot of BS, but we don't have any true answers.
Well, and I think Mark can attest to this. In Tipton County, at least this is how it was back in my day. In Tipton County, if you didn't have the right last name, you weren't shit.
That's right. They
So
were very
if
they
you
were very
weren't-
much so like it.
Yeah, and if you weren't part of the elite, they didn't care about you. And that's why there's so many unsolved cases out of Tipton County.
So I've got multiple families that confronted me a few years throughout the first 5 years after it happened. I had multiple families confront me with beef with the prosecutor or judge or the city chief or anybody for that matter. And they couldn't get nothing done because of the situation at hand with what's going on in the county.
Right.
They even had one of their own working in the Explorers program in the police department, according to the said individual.
Yes, and we are looking
Told
into
me to my face.
We know that he told you that to your face. We actually have feelers out and are trying to confirm if that was the case or not.
Right.
To know if he was lying to your face or if he was telling the truth. And there was a program like that.
Michael Raines was sitting right there. I went in after he got back to the courthouse. We had all gathered out in the lobby. And when he got back to the courthouse, he went into the courtroom with Paul Vasquez. I wasn't going to say that name. Anyway, he went in with Paul Vasquez into the courtroom. They're sitting in there talking amongst themselves alone. No officers or anybody in there. And I'm thinking, hey, something's hit my spirit. You know, I'm in major grief, about ready to go into major grief, and something grabbed me when I seen that. I told Buffy, I'm going in there and see what he's talking about. And Paul introduced himself, said he was Gary Stout's nephew, and he's working in the Explorers program with him.
How old was Vasquez at the time?
About the same age as Michael.
Yeah,
Would he have been in school?
I believe he was 19 or 20.
So he would have been out of high school then.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. There's probably it's not just Indiana, it's all over the world, but
I can't for the life of me if we ever confronted Gary about that. No, we were so centered on trying to find out what was going on, what happened, why is our daughter dead, I can't remember if we ever confronted Gary about Paul.
About him being in the Explorers program or about him being his nephew?
Right. Being in the Explorers. Well, either or.
Well, because his ex-wife or his widowed wife claims that he was not his nephew.
Yeah.
Right, but in the court documents that we read 2 weeks ago,
yeah, he says he was that Gary was a long distance relative of his dad's or something.
Right. So we know they were related somehow. We just don't have, and maybe it was so long relation that they just said this is your uncle. I mean, we've done that in our family.
Yeah, well, that's just like the situation with me and Kathy.
Oh yeah.
My kids call her Aunt Kathy. She calls them her nieces and nephews. So.
Mm-hmm.
Michael and every single one of his buddies and girlfriends, their girlfriends and everybody should have been checked, and they wouldn't listen to us. We demanded, find out where the DNA came from underneath her fingernails. They didn't bother.
Well, Mark, let me tell you something. Let me tell you. Times haven't really changed all that much because I'm going through the same thing right now with my brother's accident, and we've requested some things to be done, and the prosecutor says we can't do that.
That is so wrong.
Because there was no reason. There's no reason to.
Right.
So wrong.
And now we know that he's dropped his public defender, hired a lawyer. So now we're supposed to go to pretrial, the final pretrial on August the 14th, and just talked to the prosecutor today and found out that that's going to be continued because he hired his own defense lawyer. And the defense lawyer wants to try to lessen the charge.
Of course.
Well, you can't lessen the charge when you have toxicology reports that prove he was under the influence of THC while he was driving and had metabolite in his system, which means it had already been in his system for quite some time. So they're not going to get that charge lessened. But, the kid was driving with no insurance. And we even asked him, can't you charge him with, causing a fatality when driving with no insurance? Nope, we can't do that.
That is that is so wrong.
It is.
Unbelievable.
And that's not Tipton County either.
Right.
That's Hamilton County.
Well, I've got a good story on that prosecutor down there. I think I might even gave it to you guys.
Well, it's not the same prosecutor. This prosecutor just came on board a year ago.
Well, that's Stephanie lady that was the prosecutor down there during Aaron Nichols' child molestation case. She was a freaking joke.
Oh, no. You know who the prosecutor of Hamilton County is now?
No.
Greg Garrison.
Really?
Yeah.
Daggum. It's unbelievable.
Greg Garrison is known in the state of Indiana. He's a big attorney. He was a big attorney.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's why Mom got all excited when she found out that Garrison was the prosecutor. She was like, "Oh, this is gonna be, cut and dry." Not so much.
No.
It's never cut and dried. Never.
Especially with a seasoned lawyer. A seasoned lawyer is not going to be cut and dried.
Right.
It's almost like, what if they accept a buyout? Are they going to take a bribe, and then instead of seek the truth and proper justice? How could they be so incompetent to save their own family's hide?
Well, and it's the way that, it's the way that the police are investigating these things too. You know, even the missing cases. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, all missing cases should be investigated the same way as a murder, even though you don't have a body, because
Right.
you're missing potential evidence if you don't. They're not looking at enough things.
Exactly.
And even with murder cases, they're still not going deep enough. They've got narrow vision, tunnel vision, oh, it's this person. You got to look outside the box and you got to look at everything.
Yeah. If you're not looking at everything, you're trying to hide something.
Right. So
That's exactly what they did.
Yeah, so until we can get them to do that on each and every single case in each and every single police department, we have to continue going through crap like this. I mean, it's still happening. Look at the Sebastian Rogers case.
Very much so.
Summer Moon Wells. I mean,
it's been going on forever. It's a never-ending battle.
Yeah.
When this came about, I was totally blind to what was going on in our country, let alone the world. But when I started deep diving into seeking help, I come across certain things that just blew my mind. That it's not an isolated incident in Tipton, Indiana. It's all over the place.
And you are not the first father I've heard that from.
It was a big eye opener.
They tell me you would not believe what we have learned digging into our loved ones' unaliving, murder.
On Tabitha's live journal, I think it's on page 14 or 15 towards the end of the journal. I put a lot of comments on there from certain people, activists, lawyers, whatever, whoever wrote this stuff. And it talks about how prosecutors have tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
They set their mind on one thing and they go after it, no matter the cost.
But it's not just prosecutors; it's
No, it's not
the same thing.
right. It's like what? There's no other way to do this. Like if I'm going to go to a house and put siding on this customer's house, am I going to just start stacking that and have all the seams line up in a row? No, not with siding. You got to stagger your seams. There's multiple avenues to take to make it right.
Lollipop.
Instead of having tunnel vision on one goal.
Right. Lollipop, we believe that has been saved at ISP, but I have to do a FOIA request to see what exactly is there and what is still with the police station. I hope not. Oh, I think we lost Andrea. So, Mark, is there anything else that you want the audience to know about Tabi, her case?
Share Tabi's story. Buy the book. It's an awesome book. Share pages. Keep your eyes and ears open on your kids. There's a lot of evil. There's a lot of evil in this world, and it's doing everything it can to get everything it can. But as well as there's a lot of evil in this world, there's a lot of good in this world as well, such as people as beyond the evidence, Frank Meister, Steve from True Crime Web, multiple, everybody out here in the sleuth world on YouTube.
Yep.
There's a lot of good to fight this evil. We're stronger in numbers. Share as much as you can. And if you ever have anything similar to any bad crime happen within your family, such as this or anything for that matter, keep a journal. That's one thing Gary Stout told Buffy from the very beginning. Keep a journal. Write down everything that happens.
Right.
And she did. She did good at it too. That way everything's documented. Whether it's trips to the grocery store and you see something out of the ordinary, or you go visit your friends, anything, visitations with your loved ones or whatever, things that happen.
And reach out to others who have been in the situation. They, like I said, they've learned things. They know things. They can help you. They're going to know things right away for you to look at and ask for. And, just having another person's support that has gone through this is huge.
If someone knows more than they're telling, and they don't pass a lie detector test twice, or misdirect a question, for that matter, they've got something to hide. If you got something to hide, you got to remember everything. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember nothing. It comes naturally.
Right.
And that's one major thing that I've noticed within this case, let alone multiple cases all over the Midwest that I've seen. They always get caught up in their lies, their manipulative ways. Throughout Tabitha's case, throughout all these years, they still get tripped up in their lies and manipulative ways. They do everything in their power to plead their innocence, but we know better.
Yeah. And the most important thing is this has been going on for 22 years.
Correct.
No truth, no justice. Why is that? Why is that?
Because we're nobody in the county.
And they don't want it to be solved.
Another thing that really blows my mind is her last name has a pretty big name in the county. Not just the Shuck name, but the family gene throughout other, family last names without saying anybody in particular.
Right.
But it just blows my mind that they couldn't get proper justice either, or didn't. I don't even know if they attempted to talk to anybody trying to get justice with us. We didn't stay in touch with them.
Lollipop, you have to email Josh to get a copy of the book. I can't remember offhand what his email address is.
What happened to Tabi at gmail.com.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Gmail.
Oh. What happened to Tabi at gmail.com. So if you email Josh at that email address, and ask him for a copy of the book. He'll tell you the price and get it sent to you. There she is.
Can you hear me?
I can.
If for some reason it came up and said your mic is not working, blah, 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 and it said click on the mic, do this, this, and this. If it doesn't work, restart your computer. I had to restart my computer twice.
Oh my. And then just for all of you, we do have the Purple Angel Wings pin. It's a pin. And all proceeds are going to the Tabi Fund to either help get a lawyer and take someone to court, or pay for a lawyer. My cat. So the price is one for $13 or two for $21. And that covers postage. So if you're interested in that, you can email me at beyondtheevidence1@gmail.com.
Beautiful pendant.
Yes.
Glad Buffy found that in just the right colors too.
Well, and these came about at the last memorial walk when we did the memorial walk for Tabitha, Delphi, and Flora.
Thank you, Vid Inquiries.
And all of this pin actually encompasses all three cases. So
exactly.
Started calling it the Memorial Walk pendant or pin.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Very much so.
Okay, so Vid Inquiries says she wants a shirt. I will get with you on the shirts. Goodness gracious, cat wants out. So I will get with you on that. I'm going to work with Andrea on merchandise. Lollipop says, okay, send email. Wonderful. Vid, I'm putting you on my list because you want a shirt.
What size shirt does Vid want? Because I have an extra large blue already printed.
Oh, yeah. She says, you're so welcome. Love you at Mark Skilled Hands. Art says, hi, he's watching with me. Hi, Art. Extra large blue would be great. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to the live, Art. Miss you, old man.
Yes.
Do you have Vid's email?
I can put you in touch with her, yeah.
Okay, well, just as long as you get her email, then I can email her the invoice and get her address and all that stuff, and
yeah, we got her
and ship it.
Yeah, we'll get it to you. So, and what Andrea is talking about is the T-shirt that says "Justice for Tabitha" with the scales on it. If you are interested, scales of justice, yes.
You say scales, and people could take that all kinds of ways.
Art, be looking forward to it when you get over here next time.
I agree. So if anybody is interested in a Justice for Tabitha T-shirt, you can email Andrea at what address? Yes, Tucker.
Oh my gosh, he's on a roll. He's come up biting my arm. Let's see here. Let's do my email.
Okay.
You have it, right?
In my email, I do.
Okay, it's a B as in boy, A. Here, you want me to just put it in the chat?
Yeah, put it in the chat, please. Just a minute. All
Now,
right.
since we have to order prints, we have to have a certain amount of numbers before we can print shirts.
Thank you, Vid Inquiries.
I'll get an order together, Andrea, and email you what I want to replenish.
Well, what we found, so we have a printer. We bought a new printer, and it kept freezing up on us and sticking and blowing ink, and it wasn't working very well. So we have a company now that we can send our designs to.
Okay.
And they will send us the design already done, and all we have to do is press them. But we have to pay for the designs to be printed. So
yeah,
but it's roughly about the same amount, same charge. It roughly about the same amount it would cost us to print it is what they charge.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect the price any.
Okay.
It just takes a lot of stress off of me.
Praise God.
Yeah. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, and right now I need that.
All right, everyone. Mark, thank you so much. Thank you
so for much.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Well, just be glad she didn't start the live like she said she was going to start the live. Lord have mercy.
You're very welcome. I appreciate both of you. Prayer blessings for each of you. Anything you might need to get through in this life. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Appreciate everything you guys do.
Okay, so tomorrow night is also Tabitha night. I will be setting up a live right after this. And we've got a dozen or so deposition statements to read. So we're going to continue back on with that tomorrow night.
We are reading Shannon Hawk, Wes Miller, Jennifer Long, and somebody else.
Put Eddie Amick's statement in there.
Who?
Eddie Amick.
We don't have one from him.
You don't have Eddie Amick?
No.
Oh. I'll get on my laptop when I get home. See if I know I can pull it up. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Eddie Amick's police statement is about Wes Miller.
Oh, perfect.
Is it about who?
Wes Miller.
Is he from Kokomo?
Elwood.
Oh, no, we don't have that.
Yeah, we don't have that one on the disc.
So,
because I have everybody wrote down.
The state working with Wes Miller State Club in Elwood, and some things that state
Are
club.
You hearing?
You're cutting out really bad, Mark.
Eddie confronted Wes Miller about what he was doing in his factory, and he went and gave his statement after he found out about Tabitha, and he went to Gary Stout and gave his statement. I've got that statement. I know I do. I'm surprised it's not in the information.
Wait a minute. We may have that, but I don't think
it's in Gary's statement.
I remember reading something about him working at state plating.
Yeah, it's in Gary's statements.
Okay, we may have that then.
Okay, we'll have to look.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty severe information. It's one of those things I really don't know if we should talk about because we need to keep a lot of stuff under wraps.
All right, we'll take a look to see.
We need to discuss that.
Okay. But we're going to read 3 or 4 statements tomorrow night. Same time.
Yeah. Yeah, we really probably should just sit down and talk about that first and do our due diligence to keep under wraps what needs to keep under wrap.
Okay.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in. And remember, justice can always be had. Don't ever give up.
Exactly.
Justice is out there. It's been 22 years. It's been 22 years. I can do it for another 22 if I had to.
But
I promise it's family till my dying breath I'd seek justice. I know it's out there to be had, or I wouldn't be doing this, let alone the love for this family. I love those kids as if they were my own. They know it. I'd do anything for them.
We know you will, Mark.
God bless everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Mark. Have a good night, everyone. We will see you tomorrow night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.